So here's the plan for the day. What we're going to do is we're going to do a half an hour. We're going to go over the news quiz. We're going to take a look at a local news video and a script. And then we are going to break out into groups. The main group will stay with Marco Poggio, who is going to be teaching Adobe Premiere editing. And those people who already know it, if you don't want to stay and get a refresher from Marco, we can go into a breakout room and we can talk about scripting. So you have to let me know what you want to do. Does that make sense for everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the big questions are, how proficient are you in editing? And would you benefit from sticking around and going through the tutorial with Marco? So that is Autumn. Is Autumn? I don't want to have to repeat anything that you already know. I want you to get the most out of the class. So it's Omar and Autumn. How do you feel about that?
I need to brush up on some skills, editing skills.
I'm sorry, Omar, say again?
I could afford to brush up on some editing skills. I haven't worked with that software.
That's great. I'm happy for you to stay with the main group. And what about you, Autumn?
I feel pretty comfortable with Premiere. I don't think I need to see it again.
Okay, that's fine. Then you and I will break out. We'll stay for a few minutes as Marco gets started, if you don't mind. And then you and I will break out and we will go to another room and we'll talk about scripting so that you can get the most out of the class. Is there anybody else who is totally comfortable with Premiere and feels this would be redundant? Anyone else? No? Everybody good? All right, great. So if at any point you feel that you need to learn something other than what we're teaching, you let me know and we'll try and tailor our program to you. Does that sound fair? Yes? Everybody give me your hands. I need nods and hands and all that stuff.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what?
I want to say thank you for that Ira Glass video. I watched it today. It was excellent.
It is excellent, isn't it? It really makes a big difference. Did everybody see the Ira Glass video?
It's so well done. So well done.
Okay. So you don't know what we're talking about, but I'm going to try and show it before because it will help you understand that it's okay to make mistakes when you start out. We all want to do and create the best things possible, but often the best things possible are slightly out of our reach because while we have great ideas, we can't quite, oh my God. Hang on just a second. Hello? Okay, that's crazy. Sorry, that kicked me out of the meeting. Are we there? Oh, no.
No, you're still there.
Yeah, you're still there.
Is everybody here? Okay.
Yeah.
We could see you the whole time.
You could see me, great. So I just need to join. I just need to join, but I don't know where you went. So hang on. We'll see where I am. There you are. Okay, great. Excellent. We have to admit. Okay. All righty. So, all right. So anyway, so what I started to say was that we all want to create wonderful things. The problem is sometimes we just don't have the skills or the craft knowledge to be able to do that. So this class will help you develop skills, and then you will continue to work on your craft if you're really interested in it. And the more you do, the better you'll get at it. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Yes? Yeah, okay. All right, so let's just get rid of the news quiz real fast, shall we? I'm going to share my screen and we'll go for the news quiz. Here we go. Okay. All righty. News quiz. So, how do President Trump and Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden differ on the causes of the West Coast fires? Anybody?
Professor, it's Emma. I don't know if
Great. Thank you, Emma.
So Trump has said that he blames like it's due to poor management of the park, while Biden attributes the fires to climate change.
Okay, that's good. We're gonna just go through these real fast because we have a lot to cover. Hurricane Sally seems headed for where? Sherry? Sherry?
The Pacific coast, like near Mississippi, Louisiana.
Yeah, the Gulf Coast. The Gulf Coast.
That's all.
Okay, I have to just pause here because Fuad can't get in. I did send him the link. I don't know why. Hang on just a second. This is such a challenge. Okay, there we go. All righty. Okay, so Sherry, the Gulf Coast, correct?
Correct.
Okay, New Orleans, Texas, Southern Alabama, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What does the Department of Education plan to do to reopen public schools? Anyone? It's a newsy story. It's a newsy story today.
I think we just skipped 3.
I'm sorry?
I think we just skipped number 3.
We did. All right, but let's just take care of what does the Department of Education plan to do to reopen public schools? Let's just take care of that.
I read that they were hiring 2,000 more teachers.
That's the answer. Thank you so much. Let's go back to number 3. The NYPD released a video today that shows someone doing what in a Bronx deli?
Two suspects were shooting a 17-year-old.
Yeah, actually, he shot up the deli. He shot up potato chip factories. So it's on Twitter. It's crazy gun violence video, and it's sad. Why is the planet Venus in the news?
Because potentially human life form was found there.
Yep.
I was very excited to hear about that.
Yep. Maybe, but that is what is thought. So what is an SOT? We talked about this in class last week. I made you
sound on tape.
Yes, exactly. And what is sound on tape? What is it?
It's a soundbite.
It's a soundbite. I love it. Okay. And what is a soundbite?
It's a little piece of an interview with someone that you put in a story.
Thank you so much, Nate. I appreciate it. Okay, thank you all. What is a live shot?
Out in the field, it wasn't pre-recorded. It's a live report from the field done in real time.
Thank you very much. Great, wonderful. Okay, so we're on our way. I'm going to stop sharing. For this, it's going to be over. And okay. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any observations? Any problems with Premiere? Nope. Okay. So you were all able to get into it? No issues? Yeah? Yes? Yeah?
So for me, I'm
sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. Good.
So for me, I contacted the CUNY support for us on Friday, and I wasn't able to get in because I'm a CUNY BA student and I don't have the email address of City College.
Wait, but you don't need a City College address.
Okay.
Who am I talking to?
Lilybeth.
I'm sorry? Who is speaking? I can't see you.
Lilybeth.
Lilybeth. Okay. So Lilybeth, you don't need it. I keep sending you the same instructions over and over again. All you need is you get onto CUNY first, right?
Okay.
That's it. So do it now. So you're going to be ready for Marco. You use your CUNY first login. That's it. You don't need, it won't work with City Mail. It will not.
Okay.
Our original instructions said that City Mail, it would work with City Mail. Then we got additional instructions, and they said that we should use our CUNY first login. So please do that so you'll be ready, okay? And anytime you have a problem, don't wait until the day of, let me know. Because this is all technical, we need to master the technology. We can't let it defeat us. We are the masters of the technology. We're going to learn how to use it, and we're going to master it. Okay? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's look at somebody who has mastered the technology, sort of. I'm going to show you a local news video that was just done last week. And then I'm going to show you the script. Now, this is the kind of story that any of you can do. Any of you can do. It's not particularly artful. It's solid reporting. It's solid video reporting. It's solid TV reporting, but it's not giantly creative. It was done in an hour by the reporter and the photographer and editor he works with. And this is something that any of you can do. It's totally doable. Okay, I'm sharing my screen.
Bed-Stuy was one of the neighborhoods hit disproportionately hard during the pandemic. We saw numbers of Black and brown people living in communities like this one getting sick and dying in greater numbers than, frankly, people who look like me. Many people see the 2020 election as one way to get after this inequality we've seen for months, years, and even decades. And one of those groups advocating for Black voters this time around is Black Voters Matter.
The future is right here. So we need the kids, to be able to look up to something and to change the world.
As you know, the Black Lives Matter, the movement, all people are looking for is understanding. Understand that you wouldn't want this done to you.
And it's that understanding we found to be driving a lot of voters this November. It's something we heard echoed by LaTosha Brown with Black Voters Matter, which tries to drive African-American turnout through registration, advocacy, and even legal action.
When we're talking to young people, when they say, well, I don't believe in the process, we don't try to evangelize them. We said, well, we understand how you feel. Tell us what it is that you care about.
President Trump did not appear to show much empathy for people of color when asked about growing up white and wealthy during a phone interview with journalist Bob Woodward for his upcoming book.
It put me and I think lots of white privileged people in a cave, and that we have to work our way out of it to understand the anger and the pain particularly Black people feel in this country.
You really drank the Kool-Aid, didn't you? You listened to you. Wow. No, I don't feel that at all.
But Brown says that pain, particularly historic voter disenfranchisement, is being felt now more than ever because of the pandemic. She says polling places in Black neighborhoods have been reduced because of COVID, and policies of the last few years in some states have purged voters from the rolls and required exact signature matching, which can make voting by mail more difficult.
Ironically, 80% of the folks who are literally dropped off for exact match are people of color. The bottom line is what we are seeing is systemic structural racism.
We've seen a push for change of power structures lately, especially after the killing of George Floyd. But Brown says it's not just about criminal justice reform, and it never has been.
We care about what everybody else cares about. We want healthy, happy families. We want to be able to work jobs, get fair wages, be able to take care of ourselves and our families.
There's a lot more to my conversation with LaTosha Brown. We're going to post a link to it as part of this story at pix11.com. In Bed-Stuy, Henry Rossoff, Pix 11 News.
Okay, so that's a basic TV news video. Very, very basic. Any observations about the way it was put together, the way what the elements in it. Yeah, Teresa.
I like that there was like a bunch of different shots so that we were always like focused on a bunch of different things and not just like one continuous, like video. So it was really engaging.
Right. So when you say a bunch of different shots, what do you mean?
It's like shots of the protest and then back to the live reporter and then like the voting booths, which was pretty cool.
Okay, and that is because he had a script. So he had a script. The first thing in a video or TV story is that you do the research, then you do the reporting, you do the shooting, and then you write the script and you edit to the script. So the script becomes your blueprint, like you're building a house. You wouldn't build a house without a blueprint, would you? Or an architect's drawing? It's the same thing with a TV story. You need to have a script. You need to have a script. For any video story, you should have a script so that it makes sense, so that there's a beginning and a middle and an end. Okay, so what else? Anybody else?
It was a lot of video.
A lot of video. So that's what happens, and I think that's what Teresa means as well, is that you need a lot of video to tell a very simple story. That story was 2 minutes long, but they shot an awful lot, and they used archival footage. They used President Trump, and they used the footage of the conversation with Woodward and his recording, correct? So you're able to use a number of elements in a story to make it more interesting and more engaging. And that's really up to you as the producer. So you are not only the researcher, the reporter, but you are also the producer. Now you're going to be the shooter, the editor, and the producer, and the presenter. So those are all exciting roles. Often people only play one of them, but you're going to get to do everything by yourself. And it's all possible. What else? What else did you notice?
I was gonna say that it is a lot of footage as well, but like the textual element with Trump's conversation kind of broke it up so that it wasn't too heavy.
Mm-hmm. Right, and that's really important. We call that pacing. So it's important in a video story, if you want to hold people's attention, to make sure that you break up all the words with something else. And that brings me to the next thing that I want to show you. I want to show you what a script looks like. Normally, okay, I'm going to share the screen. Okay, here we go. You looking at it? Everybody see it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is, what you just saw is called a package in local news. Package, or in national news. It doesn't matter what kind of news you're doing. If you are a TV video reporter, anything that combines a number of elements, a reporter's introduction, the stand-up, a track, which is the narration, sound bites, maybe some natural sound, maybe another stand-up or two. That's called a package, when all these elements are put together. So this is exactly his script. Normally, you would put in a newsroom, you would put your script into a format in a computer, and we'd have a split page. And I'll show you that a little, not today, but when we're actually doing scripting for your stories. But this was done on the fly in a truck, and they just type it out, and this is the way it comes out. So is somebody waiting in our waiting room? Is everybody here? Everybody here? Okay. So local news package. Henry. So Henry is the reporter. This is Henry live. Remember when he introduced the story?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, everybody? Right?
Yes.
So that was a live shot. That was his live shot. That was his live shot. This is what he said. Now, this goes to the package. The future is right here. We need the kids to be able, oh, actually, that's a soundbite. That was a soundbite from the woman. The future is right here. We need kids to be able to look up to, and the world we're living in right now is kind of sad. Then there's another soundbite. Black Lives Matter, understand that what we are looking forward to, this new understand you would not want this done to you. And then the track, his track, everybody know what I'm talking about when I say track? What would the track be? Anybody?
The reporter's narration.
Thank you so much. The track starts here. It is understanding, particularly from young Black voters. Now, if you see the way what he does, the linking he does, the soundbite said, Black Lives Matter, understand that what we are looking forward to is for you to understand. You wouldn't want this done to you. The reporter, the writer, cleverly reinforces that word understanding. He uses understanding. It's understanding from particularly young Black voters that's driving decision-making this November. So that is a very good and common device that we use in video writing because it reinforces what the viewer and the listener already heard. And it's the same thing if you were writing for radio or doing a podcast. You would try to reinforce the language. I hope somebody's not trying to get in. Okay. And then his script goes down. It's something we heard echoed by Latasha Brown with Black Voters Matter, which tries to drive African American turnout through registration advocacy and even legal action. And then her soundbite. Now, the interesting thing about her soundbite was that they didn't shoot it. She recorded it on Zoom and sent it to them, or she recorded it on her phone and sent it to them. And that's the same thing that you might have to do because of the pandemic, because of the kinds of restrictions we're under. And that's what students last semester found themselves doing. But it worked. No, it worked. The authority that they had in the story was Latasha Brown, and she recorded from home. She self-recorded. You can do that. You can get somebody to self-record for you. Everybody with me on this? You following me?
He might have interviewed her though. He might have recorded on his computer for the Zoom call.
Totally possible. Totally possible. But she may also have recorded it herself. It doesn't really matter. My point here is that you have to be innovative. We all have to be innovative. And every reporter out there today, because of the constraints that we're under, is innovative, finds a way, a workaround, a way around what we can't do to make something happen. Okay. Then the rest of his next track is President Trump did not appear to show much empathy for people of color when asked about growing up white and wealthy during a phone interview with journalist Bob Woodward for his upcoming book. Okay. And then the Woodward sound. But what I want to point out to you is how few words the writer, the reporter, actually uses. Do you see that? Does everybody see it? So I can't highlight it here. You know what? I'm going to stop this share and I'm going to go to another screen, and that's not a good idea. Okay, oh, I know what I'm going to do. Okay. Oh, sorry. Did it strike you that very few words were used? Anybody?
I think he was, yeah, I think he was very succinct. I think that we heard from him a lot, which, you know, the voiceovers, which I was glad for because it kept us on track. So in that way, I felt like he kept popping up, but every time he was talking, they were short, succinct.
Yep.
He really effectively like creates a transition from one soundbite to the next. I think that's what the biggest thing that he succeeds in doing with very few words.
All right, I'm having a hard time getting what I need here. So, but basically what, I'm gonna go back to sharing, but basically what we're looking at is very few words. And that's what makes this writing so particular and challenging. Because you're not using tons of words. So we have the Woodward quote and Trump, the exchange with Trump. And then the reporter says polling places in Black neighborhoods have been reduced because of COVID. And policies of the last few years in some states have purged voters from the rolls and required exact signature matching, which can make mail-in voting more difficult. So all of that is about 8 seconds. 8 seconds. He says a lot with very few words, and that's the takeaway for you. A lot with very few words. You want to be very mindful of that, and we're going to go over writing and scripting so that you can put your stories together that you're going to learn how to edit in the same kind of efficient, clear, and concise way. Does everybody see this? Everybody see this?
Yeah.
Okay, any questions about the scripting?
So quick question, does he have like a teleprompter when he is being recorded, or he
No, not in the field. Most reporters, local news reporters especially, really just talk. They may write down what they're going to say. I always did. Memorize it and just say it. You just talk. That's a live shot. You don't have the luxury of having a teleprompter in front of you. Some network reporters find that challenging, not so much anymore, but older network reporters found that challenging, and they would have a teleprompter in front of them. Some reporters, if they're doing big, what we call remotes, if they're on location someplace and it's a big story, they will set up a teleprompter and lights and a whole elaborate, almost studio-like setup in the field. But normally, when you're just out there in Bedford-Stuyvesant, you're just talking. I mean, you're just really reporting, and that's live reporting. And somebody who does that and does it well is recognized for it. And this reporter was pretty good, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah?
Did he have to get some sort of special permission to use that Woodward?
No, that goes to fair use. You can use it. Not only that, but you know, the Woodward clip at this point is publicity for the Woodward book. So they might have gotten that directly from the publisher. They might have been able to use that from the publisher. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. No questions about the scripting or the writing style? Nope. Marco, hello, hello. So down here we have Marco Poggio, and Marco is going to work with us this semester, teaching Premiere and helping you craft your stories. Marco is a multimedia journalist. He's a video journalist who is a reporter, who shoots and edits and he's also worked for the Daily News as a freelance writer, reporter. So he's really covered the waterfront. He's also taught at Brooklyn College and at Baruch. So he knows what he's talking about, and I think he's going to be great working with us this semester. Marco.
Thank you, Barbara. Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Good?
Good.
Good.
Good. How are you?
So you guys are ready for some Premiere?
Yes.
Video editing?
Yes.
So let me just...
One moment, Marco. Just one moment. I'm sorry. Fuad, are you proficient in Premiere? Do you want to stay with Marco and watch this tutorial, or do you want to go on and learn something else?
What do you mean? You're gonna separate people who are gonna wanna...
Exactly.
I think I'm pretty all right with it. I think I'm pretty all
Great.
right.
Okay, that's great. So we're going to stay for just a minute or two more. And then I had an opportunity to do breakout room here. I don't understand where it went. I have to find it. Okay, Marco, keep going and I'll find what I need to find.
All right, yeah, so yeah, I was gonna ask who has experience with any video editing software, not just Premiere. Like any video editing, any of you has ever edited video in any capacity? Omar, Autumn, Jay. And may I ask what kind of software did you use?
I don't think mine's count. It's just like on a smartphone, just
on a smartphone.
Nothing,
Yes.
Nothing sophisticated.
Cool, cool.
I did it on an iMovie app.
Movie.
And like video leaps and stuff. So yeah.
Great. Anything else?
I work with Final Cut Pro.
Final Cut Pro, very good. Same for you, Autumn. Final Cut Pro. Gotcha.
Yeah, I've used Premiere and Final Cut Pro.
Very good, very good. All right, so this is a Premiere crash course, I will call it. There's a few things I'd like to get done with you today. So why don't let me just share my screen and show you what the plan for the day is. Okay. So, well, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about video editing first. So video editing is also called post-production, as I'm sure you know. It's called post-production because it comes after you shot some video or recorded some audio or taken some picture, right? So now the production part is over. Now you come back to your studio, home, office, and you put together the project. So there's a certain workflow that you typically follow in video editing, and that begins when before you even open Premiere, which is your editing software. You have all these files that you shot with your phone or with your camera, and you need to organize them first before you are able to create a project. And why? Because Premiere is it's an excellent software, but like every other programs, they need to be fed organized information. Otherwise, it's just going to create a huge mess, right? So you have to organize your video files in a certain way before you even open the program. Then once you open the program, you start doing your editing. We'll talk more about that in depth later. Editing means putting together parts of videos in a way that makes sense, that tells a story. So that's the editing part. Then you'll do some color correction, make your final video, your video look good.
Oh, this worked. This is amazing. I'm so excited. I haven't done this before. So this is great. All right. Perfect. All right. So, So a TV script, a video script is very particular. You cannot you should not create a story without creating a script. Do you have a clue why? Fuad?
I mean, it's a roadmap, and if you have a roadmap, you will be more proficient. You know, you don't want to be guessing, and it's good to have a plan. And within the plan, you could go around
Yeah.
it. But
It's really important to have a plan. It's really important to have a plan. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm so excited that this worked. I had no idea that it was going to work. Okay. Okay, so let's go to, I'm going to do, sorry, I'm just getting to a place where, okay. Okay. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to share the screen with you. All right, so first of all, when we are writing stories, we need to consider what the formats are. So there are 4 basic formats. The first format is one that you've seen, is the stand-up. The reporter just stands there and talks, with or without a teleprompter. So that's a live shot or a live report. We talked about that, right? Then there's something called a VO. We talked a little bit about this the last time, a VO, a voiceover. That's generally read by an anchor or reporter who reads the copy over video or over what he or she sees in the street. I know that in film, they call a VO the narration. It's not the narration. In this kind of reporting, the track is considered the narration. You with me on this so far? Yeah? Okay. You know what a soundbite is. We did this. So a VOSOT is when you have, you're reading live over some video, and then you go to a soundbite. Does that make sense to you? Yeah? Okay. This is like learning a different language. Natural sound. Both of you worked a little bit with film, so you know what natural sound is, right? Natural sound, what is it? Autumn? Natsat. What is Natsat?
It's the kind of like just like the room tone, just so you have something. So like it doesn't sound like it's like staggering and breaking up. Like it's very smooth.
This is natural sound.
No. Okay. Yeah.
This is natural sound. A siren is natural sound. So any ambient noise, you're right, the room tone, but it's more than that because we want to use natural sound as a way to create pacing in the story. It's really important. I think we talked a little bit about that when we watched the Rossoff report. But natural sound is crucial, and it makes a story far more interesting than a story without it. Okay, a track is a reporter's narration, and tracks are generally numbered in scripts. The reporter's tracks were not numbered or even highlighted as tracks in the script that was sent to me because they were doing it in the truck. So they did it really quick and dirty. A stand-up is the reporter's on-camera presentation. It does not have to be live. It can be recorded. And you know what a package is, correct? Both of you? Yeah? A package? No. What's a package? Autumn?
Package, isn't it just all put together just so you have it nice and neat and funny?
So a package always includes a reporter's tracks, the narration, the stand-ups, maybe natural sound, and SOTs. So a package is a complete story.
I have a question.
Sure.
What's exactly like the difference between voiceover and track?
That's a really good question, and everybody gets confused about it. So I'm glad you're asking the question so we can clarify it. Track is recorded. So when you work in a newsroom, for example, a manager, a managing editor, a producer will approve your script and say, okay, go track, go record your track. So it's always part of a story that's pre-recorded. VO is when a story is not pre-recorded and it's live. So VO is a live reading of a script over video. Track is when the narration and the video or the footage are married. Does that make sense to you? Okay. So a scripting format, so the scripts, let me do this again. So can you see the blank piece of paper? No? Okay. Okay, can you see it now? Yeah? All right. So usually a script is when you sit down in a newsroom, when we don't have COVID and everybody can work in a newsroom, this is the way a script would look. And the way we can do that is by going to insert tables and doing 2 columns. And on this side, you put your video instructions, and here you have your audio instructions. And it's a good idea to get used to doing this because this is what you're going to have to do in a professional setting. So what would happen in a professional setting, and this is very hard to do here because it doesn't match up and it's not a program created for this, and you'll see what I mean. So let's say you are the editors. I'm the reporter and you are the editors. And I have a script and I want you to use woman walking in the street with baby. And I may give you the clip number. Right? And over here, oh, see, this is the problem. Over here, it would have me, and it would say track 1, and it would say woman walked through the hail of bullets with her baby in a carriage. So you as the reporter want to provide the editor or the producer with enough information about the clips. And over here you would have shots of men with guns, gunfire, and you'd have the clip numbers. Then over here, you would have SOT. This is the woman, and it says, "It terrified me." Come on, no caps. Terrified me. I kept my head down, but worried that a bullet would hit the baby, right? And then track 2, she might say, you might say, the reporter, me, let's say, she worried about the baby, but kept walking through the turmoil because, this turmoil is the wrong word, but kept walking because she said she had no choice. No way out. Then her sound says, no way out. There was gunfire behind me. I thought if I could make it through, we would be safe. So, and then over here, you would have, whoops. Over here, you would have, sorry, this is hard to do this way, but over here you would have the instructions. And over here, in addition to the instructions, you would have her name. Helen Jones, and the Bronx resident. And that's the instruction that goes under her name that you see underneath the name. And that is called a lower third, a lower third. So any questions about this so far? I'm going fast. Any questions? So one of the hallmarks here is that writing this requires a new way of thinking. So you have to think in terms of, how can I say this using the active voice? How can I say this using as few words as possible? So what do you think about that? Anybody?
I've done something a little different. I mean, similar. Like this, it was called like the 2-column script.
Right.
The formatting is a little different with the video instructions, but audio. But I think it's this kind of format is really helpful to keep things organized, because you see the audio you want to use, the video. So
Right,
it's even
exactly.
others formats.
Exactly. I'm not an editor, honestly, but you know, I am a reporter and a writer, and so for me, being able to communicate with the editor or the producer to let them know exactly what I wanted to do was critically important, because if the shots didn't match the video, then the story wasn't very good. So in this kind of work, the shots all have to match the video. All have to match the video. Does that make sense to you? So in this kind of work, our mantra is, if you say it, you have to show it. If you show it, you have to say it.
It's funny that you say that, because like in film classes that I take, it's like the exact opposite. Like,
right.
don't say it if you're gonna show it.
No.
Or it's fun.
This is very short. You only have a couple of minutes at most to get your point across, and you want to really say what you mean. You don't want to fool around. You don't want to skirt around about it, but you want to be as direct as possible. And then you want to make sure that you reinforce the words or no words if you put words on the screen, the words on the screen have to match either what you're saying or what people are seeing. And it's totally different than film. Totally different. Because with film, there's some license to, people catch on eventually. Here, there's no catching on eventually. You have one shot. You're right out there. It's very in your face. You with me on this? Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to go back to, keep that in mind, and I'm going to go back to the website. I'm going to stop. Okay. So it was impossible for me to get the format on the website properly. Maybe somebody else could have done it, but I'm not good enough. So the website wouldn't let me create the two columns. So the other instruction you have is for the people in the control room. So let's say, Autumn, you're the anchor, right? And Fuad, you are the director. Autumn. So this would be Autumn, see you. She would have a close-up. And Fuad, you're looking at the same script. Don't forget this is split. Let's just pretend it's split. You're looking at the script, and then you look up at the monitor, and you've got in front of you, you've got several monitors, and you take a close-up. It would be, the direction would be take, see you, right, of Autumn. If Autumn had a partner, and Fuad, you were that partner, then we take a two-shot of Autumn and Fuad. And this is very typical. This is exactly what would be on the script in any newsroom. Or 2BX. That's their computer terms, and every newsroom has a different kind of program. Not all use the same ones, so their language changes. But a two box, a box of the two of you, that would be the two of you in there. All right, it would be then you'd have your copy. So let's say, Autumn, tell me a story that you want to report in a voiceover.
Just any story off the top of my head.
Just give me a voiceover. Something that we're going to report in a voiceover. This is going to be your lead, what we call the lead. And the lead is spelled L-E-D-E. It's shorthand. Shorthand for... Yeah, it's shorthand for L-E-A-D. And this started, I think, sometime in the 30s. People started just using, in all kinds of newsrooms, using L-E-D-E as the way to refer to a lead. So your lead would be, tell me a story you want to report. Did you go to El Puente when you were a kid?
No.
No? Okay. What did you do in your neighborhood? I know your neighborhood. What did you do in your neighborhood when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, we had block parties.
Okay.
We had what did I do when I was?
Well, let's report something. Anything. I'm just trying to find something that interests you. Tell me something. What's your story about? What did you shoot?
I went down to the laundry room in my building because I think it's an interesting place. There's a sort of a communal place where like everyone in my building would go to get our laundry done. And since the pandemic, it just is interesting to me that everyone is scared. It was like scary at first, like to go to this communal place in my building just to get your laundry done. And it was empty for a while. And so I think it'd be interesting to see people's opinions.
Okay, you told me.
On how they feel.
Got it, okay. All right, so this would be your lead. Everybody usually hates to do laundry, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, oh, come on. All right, so stay with me. I'm just going to do it this way. But since the pandemic hit, some people find the laundry room a great place to talk to neighbors, right?
Sure.
So that would be your lead. That would Autumn Gonzalez report. Was with an S or with a Z?
With a Z.
Reports. Okay? Oh, actually, this is a VO. So your VO, right? And then you would go to take VO, and your copy would say, come on, we have it here? Okay. The laundry room, you can hear the laughter when you get off the elevator. And then you have a little bit of, oh, this is just a VO. It's not a package. So you can hear the laughter when you get off the elevator. How many people generally in there?
Depends if it's a weekday or weekend.
I'm sorry?
Well,
when you were there, on a weekday night,
Probably 2 or 3 on weekdays.
Tenants at where do you live? What building is it called? What's the building called?
Lindsay Park Housing.
Tenants in the, I'm sorry, what park?
Lindsay Park, Lindsay.
Lindsay Park Apartments. Do the laundry and take comfort from each other, right? And then your soundbite would say, that would be your VO. That would be your VO. And you might write a few more sentences if it were just the VO. But if you were going to add your soundbite, then your soundbite would say, this is one of the tenants, and what did one of the tenants say?
One of the tenants would say, I come down here and I talk to my neighbors and we express our feelings about the pandemic and our concerns. It becomes kind of like the building's gossip.
All right, so that's it. That's a VOSOT. And this is a very basic form in TV. Fuad, if you were an editor at a TV station, they'd hand you the copy, they'd hand you, you'd have the footage, that you'd put this together. The anchor would read, the anchor being Autumn, she would read the copy for the lead. Then if you were the director, you would take the video when she read over. You can hear the laughter when you get off the elevator. On weeknights, tenants in the Lindsay Park Apartments do the laundry and take comfort from each other. And then the soundbite is, I come down here and I talk to my neighbors and we express our feelings about the pandemic. That's it. That's a VOSOT. Very, very simple. It's one of the basic forms of storytelling in television. And you can see it a lot. Let's see if we can I'm going to stop sharing because I'm going to go to something else. The bad thing about this is we're going to have to listen to a commercial for 28 seconds now. Anyway, so, but this is one of the basic forms. You see it when you watch TV news, when you watch, what kind of TV news do you watch? Does anybody watch TV news at all? What do you watch, Fuad?
I always like to watch 10 minutes CNN and 10 minutes Fox. Like I can't watch only one. I always have to on TV. Yeah.
You get a balanced diet. Okay. And what about you, Autumn? What do you watch?
I'd say like kind of the same. My dad, he puts on the news in the morning, but he usually always puts on a different channel.
Okay.
Like he likes to just go through all of them just to hear what everyone has to say. But my grandma tends to put on CNN in the morning. That's all she listens to or watches.
I'm trying to find something for you.
Verizon knows how to build internet and TV right. Start with Fios, the 100% fiber optic network and fastest internet in America.
Since we have Fios, there's virtually no lag.
Let people mix and match their internet and TVs.
All right. ABC News generally has the best stuff on YouTube.
B&H, how can I help you?
B&H is here. From our house to yours, as your collaborator.
The year 101, and I think the NFL has done a great job.
About that, I know he.
Okay.
Including adding the words.
Economic damage. This coming as the president can be rescued before the phones went dead.
Just kept yelling, "Come get me out of here, Mary."
Driving through Talent,
All right,
Oregon, there's little left standing to show the town ever existed.
All but 9 homes burnt to the ground.
Can you see?
Even the fire department falling victim to the fast-moving flames. This fire engine completely burnt out.
We weren't able to do it. It was futile.
So this is a soundbite.
As much water as we had, and it didn't seem to do one thing.
There is potential good news for the Pacific Northwest. The forecast shows
Reporter
rain
reporting
as
from
early
home
as
because of the
tonight.
pandemic, or
Unfortunately
reporting
for
from a hotel room.
California, there's no rain in the forecast in the near future.
That's a stand-up.
Megan, thank you. 2 Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies remain in the hospital, survivors of a terrifying ambush Saturday night.
So this is the anchor, and she is either in her home or in the studio or in a hotel somewhere. And now what she is doing is she's doing a voiceover. She's reading, and this graphic is going to...
A 100,000...
All right, so that is a voiceover. Autumn, do you see what's happening here? This is a great example of a voiceover. So she's reading it live. The video is not married to...
$1 award is being offered as police search for the person
the audio.
In this surveillance video. You see him there. The shooter walked up to the deputy's patrol car and fired multiple times before running off. The victims, a 31-year-old mother and a 24-year-old man, were able to radio for help.
So this video is just rolling,
condition.
And she's
The
reading
female
over that.
deputy was
This
hit
is a
at least once in the jaw,
the soundbite.
and at least twice in the arm, and I think the male deputy was hit at least a couple of times in the arm also.
Grieving officers were also stunned by the behavior of people.
So
outside the hospital who tried to block the entrance and shouted death to police.
Turning to politics, President Trump.
Wait a second.
There's no rain in the forecast.
I'm sorry, I'm messing this up. I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you the natural sound. All right, we'll just pick it up here.
Recommends closing all tabs, turning off high definition video, and upgrading your modem. And she says a mesh network may help if speeds are still too slow.
There are a bunch of little boxes that you plug in around the house, and it creates one big network. Then your computer can go anywhere in the house and have an equally distributed signal.
Mesh networks cost around $200, but they're more effective and less expensive Wi-Fi extenders. Becky has more tips later on Good Morning America.
Coming up, what we've learned about tonight's return of Alex Trebek in Jeopardy.
Also ahead, one city's attempt to ban people from wearing saggy pants.
Voice over.
Puberty
is buffeting our hotel. You can feel. And the tide is calling. Wicked Tuna Outer Banks. New episode Sundays at 9 on National Geographic.
What you're seeing
Sorry,
right
I'm
now
just trying to get past these commercials.
It's all about.
Like you see, pushing through.
This is ABC News Live.
Neighborhoods are underwater.
24/7 streaming news source from ABC News.
It's annoying.
Be in the bullseye. Up to 20 inches of rain expected. The rush to evacuate
This is
right
all
now.
VO. All
Also
VO.
right now, the death toll climbing. The devastating discovery in California as wildfires burn an area the size of Connecticut. The new warnings across the region and the big concern today.
Vowing to get vicious.
Joe Biden, he's shot, and everybody knows it.
President Trump ramping up the rhetoric after the Biden campaign launches a new ad. The president holding a jam-packed indoor rally despite pandemic regulations. This new message to supporters as we learn of a new timeline in the race for a coronavirus vaccine.
Plus, called out by Kaepernick, why the former quarterback is slamming the NFL for its new campaign in support of racial justice.
Celebrity chef Rachel Ray takes us inside her kitchen for the first look inside her home after a devastating fire.
And later, the new music trend that's setting a retro record.
These are all what we call
News
teasers.
in New York. This is America This Morning.
Good Monday morning, everyone. We begin with this historic hurricane season spawning yet another major threat to the Gulf Coast.
Tropical storm Sally is expected to grow into a hurricane today. States of emergency have
This
already
is
been
all
declared in
VO.
Louisiana and Mississippi. New Orleans is bracing for the possibility of a direct hit.
The big concern is just how slowly the storm is moving. This morning, millions of people.
Okay, wait. So that little blip of audio is called natural sound. Before anybody talked. You with me on that? That's NatSOC, natural sound.
The Gulf Coast bracing for a round of date.
Yep.
So the voiceover, like, you know how the anchor was speaking and his voice like is spilled over to the video, but then another voice, a pre-recorded voice came in.
That's the package. So they threw, remember when I showed you, so they threw to the package. I'll go back to the website and show you that, but I want you to see what's happening. So basically what they did, what he did a VO, and then he threw to the package. He didn't say Fuad is reporting, but he just said, and they're worried. And that was the cue for the director to take the package.
Got it.
And the package is the pre-recorded story.
Okay, yeah. I see now.
Dangerous wind and deadly flooding. Sally is expected to make landfall early tomorrow as a Category 1 or 2 hurricane. This morning, mandatory evacuations have been ordered in Mississippi and Louisiana, with the storm's projected path putting New Orleans in the bullseye, taking a similar track as Hurricane Katrina 15 years ago.
I mean, after Katrina, anything around here and anything on the water, you're going to take serious. You know, you can't take anything lightly.
Sally already dumping more than 9 inches of rain in South Florida over the weekend, triggering flash floods in the Keys.
Power is going out right now.
And now up to 20 inches of rain are expected when the storm makes landfall along the Gulf Coast, bringing a life-threatening storm surge.
We have really good reason to be very concerned about this storm, particularly because it is going to be a very slow-moving storm.
The threat coming less than 3 weeks after Hurricane Laura slammed into southwest Louisiana.
1:30 in the morning, power just went out here in Lake Charles. The wind is buffeting our hotel. You can feel the building swaying.
More than 60,000 customers are still without power from that storm. And now in Mississippi, long lines of boats waiting to evacuate in Biloxi as residents prepare for whatever comes their way this time.
You know, every time a storm whips up, I say to myself, you know, I should go down and get some sandbags, because if I don't need them for this storm, I might need them a week from now.
The storm will also bring the threat of tornadoes. We'll take a closer look at the forecast in just a few moments.
On the West Coast, more dry, windy conditions are expected today as President Trump visits California, where 29 major wildfires are burning. The death toll rising overnight. At least 27 people have now died in fires across California, Oregon, and Washington in the last week, and dozens are missing. Here's ABC's Megan Tebrazian.
Okay, that was
this morning, firefighters in the West bracing for more dangerous conditions.
It's a perfect storm.
In California, where more than 3 million acres have already burned, an area about the size of Connecticut, winds are expected to pick up, gusting up to 35 miles per hour, fanning the already fast-moving flames.
Once it gets up so fast, you can't stop it.
The so-called Bobcat fire exploding in size Sunday, forcing new evacuations near Los Angeles. And overnight, a devastating discovery near Chico, the North Complex fire claiming 2 more victims. The wildfire death toll in California, now at least 24.
We're literally out of firefighters and equipment.
Meanwhile, in Oregon, the flames incinerating 6 towns, leaving at least 10 people dead.
People dying, houses are flattened. This is awful.
Among the likely victims, Mary Joyner's aunt. Mary says she received a string of frantic calls with the 92-year-old pleading to be rescued before the phones went dead.
She just kept yelling, "Come get me, get me out of here, Mary."
Driving through Talent, Oregon, there's little left standing to show the town ever existed.
All but 9 homes burnt to the ground.
Even the fire department falling victim to the fast-moving flames. This fire engine completely burnt out.
We weren't able to do anything. It was futile. We would put as much water as we had, and it didn't seem to do one thing.
There is potential good news for the Pacific Northwest. The forecast shows rain as early as tonight. Unfortunately for California, there's no rain in the forecast in the near future. Kenneth, Mona. Megan, thank you. 2 Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies remain in the hospital, survivors of a terrifying ambush Saturday night. A $100,000 reward is being offered as police search for the person in this surveillance video. You see him there. The shooter walked up to the deputies' patrol.
Okay. So you have the VO, the VOSOT, and the package. And then you have the live shot. You understand that? Any questions about that? Any questions about the formats? No? Fuad? No? Okay.
Are they editing live, or they have already some stuff edited and then?
It's all, no, they're not editing live. Everything is scripted and edited beforehand. Fast. The package that I showed from Kevin Rossier for pics, that was done in a truck by somebody who's a former student of mine, who is a videographer and an editor at Pix and a producer. But yeah, that's done really, really fast, quick and dirty. And that's why, you know, it's important to have the skills to be able to, because you can get this job. These are jobs that you can have. This is stuff that you can do right now. It's not brain surgery, but it does require you to, to develop the skills and learn the crafts and then just be willing to do it. But it's fun. I'll tell you, I think it's exciting and fun. You're right out there with everything that's happening, and you're able to tell the stories and report about it. But then you have to have the skills in order to present the stories in one way or another. Either you're the presenter on camera, or you're the photographer, shooter, writer, however it goes. But it takes a lot of people, and increasingly we'll call on you, Autumn, to do everything. So you'll be Fuad, you'll be the researcher, reporter, shooter, interviewer, editor, writer, editor, and then present again. So it's, I think it's really exciting. Any questions about that? Nope. Okay. Let's go back to the website. Ugh. Sorry, I've got to fill out something to get what I want.
I'm gonna be back in 1 minute.
Okay.
Just 1 second.
Oh no, you want to charge me for something that I used to get for free. Sorry. Autumn, do you have to take a bathroom break while I get set up here?
Sure, I can do that.
You want to do that? And I'll find us a video, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Fuad, we're going to take a bathroom break while I look for the video that I need. Is that okay?
Yeah, no problem.
So I'll be about 5 minutes. I'm just trying to get something so I don't waste your time.
All right, yeah, no problem.
Ugh.
I favor statehood for Puerto Rico. That the people of Puerto Rico should have the right to determine their own political future.
When the people of Puerto
But they don't have a vote. This means Puerto Ricans can't vote on.
I favor statehood for Puerto Rico.
Wyatt Earp, the gunslinger who helped tame the American West, once said, "Fast is fine, but accuracy is final." The same thing could be said about testing for COVID-19. Back in March, the Food and Drug Administration took the unprecedented step of allowing COVID antibody tests to flood the market without review. The tests were billed as a critical tool to assess where the virus had spread and who might have immunity. But in the government's rush to get more people tested quickly, it may have missed the mark. Over the course of a 3
We're going to bring you to one of the poorest places on earth.
Yes, I think it doesn't matter what else you do. Get comfortable with a little greatness.
The new CNN original series, First Ladies, premieres Sunday, October 4th at 10 on CNN.
In Texas, a police chief is defending a Facebook post aimed at speeders that some say just crossed the line. And here's the post. It's since been removed. And it showed a video depicting a group hanging. The caption reading,
Knock, knock. Your Nutrisystem delivery is here with a month of delicious meals, satisfying snacks, plus probiotic shakes to help support your immunity. Delivered right to your door. And bonus, order now.
Never has unemployment.
Okay, great. You're both back. Terrific. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Okay, so I want to show you a couple of videos that are, I'll show you a short video first, and then I'll show you something longer. But this is a Vox video. Have either of you seen Vox videos? Yeah? They're more innovative than TV stories generally are, and they use more stuff. They use more interesting graphics and more interesting editing techniques. Why? Because they have more people working on them, and because they have more time to do it. but this is a totally valid form of short form video. Let's take a look. And then I'm going to show you two of my favorite, or one of my favorite videos of all time, just because it's beautiful.
I favor statehood for Puerto Rico, that the people of Puerto Rico should have the right to determine their own political future.
When the people of Puerto Rico make a clear decision, my administration will stand by you.
It may seem that U.S. politicians support Puerto Rico's right to decide its future.
Are you trying to share it?
Puerto Rico as a U.S. state.
Oh,
But their
you're not.
words have yet
I'm
to
sorry,
turn
you're
into
not seeing it.
action.
I didn't share. I
This might
totally
not be
apologize.
surprising,
I got into the
considering that when
video.
Hurricane
I lost.
Maria hit the
Hang
island,
on.
46%.
I lost myself there. I thought, oh, this is very interesting.
No, it's a,
Okay. Can you see it?
It's like mostly like a black
Puerto
screen.
Rico, that the people of Puerto Rico should have the right to determine their own political future.
When the people of Puerto Rico make a clear decision,
we see like only the top.
It may seem that U.S.
Something's
politicians
happening
support
here.
Puerto Rico's right to decide its future and would even welcome Puerto Rico as a U.S. state. But their words have yet to turn into action. This might
We
not
only
be
see
surprising,
like a line.
considering that when Hurricane Maria hit the island, 46% of Americans didn't know Puerto Ricans are American citizens. But they are. More Americans call Puerto Rico home than 21 U.S. states. But being a U.S. citizen in Puerto Rico is not the same as being a U.S. citizen stateside. Puerto Rico is an American commonwealth and one of 5 inhabited U.S. territories.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
island became
I don't think we could see. We only see for some reason like your bar.
Yeah, like the top of your screen.
You only see the top of my screen?
Like the tab. We just see the
Yeah,
tab
the
that's
tab.
open.
But not the whole page. Just for some reason the tab where it says like YouTube.
I don't know why. Hang on. Maybe the format of this video.
No,
So
I
what
don't
you-
think it's the format. Maybe try to like come out of it and come back in of the screen recording.
What do you see now?
Same thing.
Same thing.
You see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to stop sharing. Try one more time.
Yeah, now it's good.
Okay.
I favor statehood for Puerto Rico, that the people of Puerto Rico should have the right to determine their own political future.
when the people of Puerto
You good?
Rico make
Everybody?
a clear decision, my administration will stand by you.
It may seem that U.S. politicians support Puerto Rico's right to decide its future and would even welcome Puerto Rico as a U.S. state, but their words have yet to turn into action. This might not be surprising, considering that when Hurricane Maria hit the island, 46% of Americans didn't know Puerto Ricans are American citizens. But they are. More Americans call Puerto Rico home than 21 U.S. states. But being a U.S. citizen in Puerto Rico is not the same as being a U.S. citizen stateside. Puerto Rico is an American commonwealth and one of 5 inhabited U.S. territories. The island became a U.S. territory when Spain conceded colonial control after it
Do you see
lost
what I
the
mean about the video
Spanish-American
matching
War.
the words?
The federal government gave Puerto Ricans American citizenship, their own legislative assembly, and governor. Like other American citizens, Puerto Ricans can serve in the U.S. military and are subject to drafts. And like other American citizens, Puerto Ricans also pay most federal taxes. But unlike other citizens who face taxation, Puerto Ricans don't have federal representation. The island gets to send one politician to Congress to advocate on behalf of its residents but they don't have a vote. This means Puerto Ricans can't vote on issues that affect the island, such as limited funding for Medicaid or food stamps, as well as a broader economic policy. And while Puerto Ricans on the island can vote in the presidential primaries, they can't vote for the president. Puerto Ricans have voted several times on their status in referendums. Early on, an ample majority of Puerto Ricans supported a commonwealth over statehood or independence.
You don't want to be a state, and you don't want to be independent. You just want to go on living in the middle.
In the middle, no. Give it Commonwealth.
Puerto Ricans today are divided on the status of the island. The latest referendum shows large support for statehood, but the turnout was historically low. But no matter what polls and votes show, referendum results are non-binding because Puerto Rico can't become a state without approval from Congress. And Congress has largely ignored Puerto Rico's status. But as the island struggles to recover from Hurricane Maria, the issue is becoming harder to ignore. Puerto Rico's economy started tanking when Congress phased out tax incentives designed to attract investment to the island. Paired with fiscal mismanagement, the island's debt started to grow. To reverse Puerto Rico's financial decline, a board appointed by Congress imposed harsh austerity measures that reduced health and education spending on the island. As opportunities lessen, Puerto Ricans are relocating to mainland US. The population is shrinking on the island, and their political influence stateside is growing. Once permanently living in a US state, Puerto Ricans can actually impact federal politics. Puerto Rican statehood advocates want 5 House representatives and 2 senators in Congress, while Commonwealth supporters are fighting for increased parity without sacrificing their national identity. But despite political efforts, it seems that Puerto Rico will continue to belong to the US without really having much of a say.
Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. So what do you think? I mean, it wasn't like the greatest video ever, but it was an interesting storytelling, right? I thought they could have done more with natural sound, no? Yeah, I thought they could have done more with natural sound. Now, I'd like to show you, this is one of my all-time favorites. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I just wanted to say, because it reminded me of this, well, like, I thought it was, like, nice and informative, and it reminded me of this book I recently read that I think is, like, it's a really amazing book, kind of journalistic, and like it reads like fiction because of the way it's structured, but it's super amazing. It's called War Against Puerto Ricans, Revolution and Terror in America's Colonies.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting.
I'd recommend it. It's a really good book.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, I thought it was a very informative story. I thought I like the visual techniques that were used. Mm-hmm. I thought the storytelling was a little dry. It wasn't warm enough for me. I like more character-driven stories. A lot of the Vox stories are not so character-driven. I'm going to show you character-driven stories that illustrate, this story now will illustrate every point that I've talked about. It's an old video, but it's just so good that it's really worth taking a look at, okay? All right, I'm gonna share again. And again, speak up, don't let me go on if I have stupid problems.
It's the, oh, no, okay.
Yeah, we're full, right? Can you see it? Okay, great.
Employment been so high for so long, and as a result, more than 16 million kids are living in poverty, the most since 1962.
The video in this is beautiful.
It's worst where the construction industry collapsed, and one of those places
the writing
is Central
and the video
Florida.
go together.
We
Look
went
at
there
the
8
very
months ago
first
to
shot.
meet families who'd become homeless for the
And
first time
the
in their
characters
lives.
are amazing.
So many were living day to day that school buses changed their routes to pick up all the kids living in cheap motels. We called the story Hard Times Generation. Now, we've gone back to see how things have changed. It turns out some families are losing their grip on the motels and discovering that the homeless shelters are full. Where do they go then? Well, they keep up appearances by day and try to stay out of sight at night, holding on to one another in a hidden America, a place you wouldn't notice unless you ran into the people that we met in the moments before dawn.
Moments before dawn. Remember
The story
that.
will continue in a moment.
Time has carried us into uncharted territory. The Great Recession began December 2007, almost 1,500 mornings ago. If you were rushing to work this morning in Seminole County, Florida, it's not likely you'd notice the truck or hear the children getting ready for school.
In the clear bin, we have dirty laundry. In that one, there's tools that we might need.
All these bank bags are storage of this and that.
Like shampoo. And over here is food.
So you're really not heating up food so much. You're eating out of cans?
Yep.
This is the home of the Metzger family. Ariel, 15, her brother Austin, 13. Their mother died when they were very young. Their dad, Tom, is a carpenter, and he's been looking for work ever since Florida's construction industry collapsed. When foreclosure took their house, he bought the truck on Craigslist with his last $1,000. Tom's a little camera shy, thought we ought to talk to the kids, and it didn't take long to see why. How long have you been living in this truck?
About 5 months.
What's that like?
It's an adventure. Yeah, that's how we see it.
When kids at school ask you where you live, what do you tell them?
When they see the truck, they ask me if I live in it, and when I hesitate, they kind of realize. And they say they won't tell anybody. Yeah, it's not really that much of an embarrassment. I mean, it's only life. You do what you need to do, right?
It's life for a lot of folks. The number of kids in poverty in America is pushing toward 25%, 1 out of 4. Austin and Ariel usually get cleaned up for school at gas stations. They find it's best to go to different ones every day so the managers don't get sore. Before the bell, they blend in with more than 1,100 other homeless students in the Seminole County schools. At Castleberry School, we met 15 kids who'd been living in cars. With their parents' permission, they told us you don't get much sleep with your brothers and sisters in the back seat. But that wasn't the worst part.
So we were really scared. So we'll stay up all night sometimes and watch over my mom and keep her safe.
How many of you, show me your hands, were worried about your safety where you were living in the car?
To me, it was scary because I thought something was either going to happen to my mom or my grandfather or my dad or me. We weren't staying in a very good neighborhood, like where the car was parked. And someone came up and robbed my aunt for the little bit of money that we had. Well, I worried that someone would just break in and steal my mom's purse.
Jade Wiley is 8 years old. She spent 3 weeks living in her car with her mom, her dad, 2 dogs, and a cat. Did you think you were ever going to get out of the car?
I thought I was going to be stuck in the car.
How'd you keep your spirits up?
By still praying to God that somebody let us stay in the hotel.
And how did you get out of the car?
Well, there's this nice lady named Beth, and then she gave us a lot of money so we could stay at the hotel, and now I'm staying at the hotel.
She said that a nice lady named Beth came and gave the family money.
Well, a nice community came.
Okay.
I just delivered it.
Beth Davalos runs programs for homeless kids in the Seminole County schools. This is the video that she shot when she found Jade's family.
Well, we deal with it. Every day we deal with it when we live in the car. We're going to go get you a hotel room now. How do you feel about that? Happy.
When Davalos hears of a student on the street, she uses county money and donations to get temporary shelter in a motel. The money she had for Jade's family lasted only a month, so the Wileys and Jade are painting the rest of the motel in exchange for a room.
Okay, so bear with us. Marco got shut out of the other room. I have to go leave him. I have to go let him in. So I'm going to leave this room. I'm going to come back. Don't go away. Let's see if it works.
Yeah, logging out and logging in again.
Okay. So hi, everybody.
Hi.
Marco's computer closed. How's it going? Is it going okay?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm trying to let him in. Are you learning something? Is this working out?
Yeah. He was just about to show us how to put the video in, and he froze.
Yeah, we just started working on the timeline and then he froze.
Okay. All right. Well, let me see if I can get him back in here. Oh my God. Okay. This is really hard, everybody, right?
Well, one thing that I'm running into is that I have somehow loaded a trial version. It's 7 trial days left.
Oh, we don't want that.
I can't figure out how to
get rid of that.
But I don't want to take the rest of the class up for that. I just
So that is, I'm going to have to put you in touch with someone better than me to not Marco, because he's not. That's not his.
Right.
He's not from the college. So I'm going to have to, or give you the instruction. I'm going to give you the instructions again. If you follow
I've got the instructions.
we don't want the trial. Where's Marco? Admit. I'm admitting. Okay. Admit. Okay, you're back. All righty. So I'm going. We don't hear you, Marco. Unmute. Unmute.
Sorry,
That's it.
some glitch happened and I was just kicked out.
All right. So wait. All right. So I'm going back to my breakout room. Ignore me.
Okay.
Ignore me. Keep going on.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened, but I was just ejected by Zoom. But I'm back. So hopefully everybody's still with us and we can continue what we're doing.
Okay. Sorry about that. But he got locked out and I couldn't admit him from here. So were you enjoying that video? Yeah. Can we go back to it? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So let me share the screen and find it. Hang on. Okay. This is
Knock, knock. Your Nutrisystem delivery is
come on, let's go.
here with a month of delicious meals, satisfying snacks, plus probiotic shakes to help support your immunity.
Never has unemployment
Okay,
in a car with her mom,
I think this is the part we were up to.
Yeah, just share the screen.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. Hang on. Be patient with me.
No problem.
Where did you go? There you are. Okay. Would you say this is a challenge? Nobody's laughing. Is it only me?
We're laughing on mute.
Laugh with me, please.
No, I mean, the Zoom thing is pretty new for a lot of people, including myself. It's not.
Yeah, well, it's just, it's challenging because if you get shut out, you have to get back on again. All right, so I don't see this. I do see this. Okay. All right, you see that? Yeah.
dad, 2 dogs, and a cat.
There we go.
Did you think you were ever going to get out of the car?
I thought I was going to be stuck in the car.
And again,
How'd
we're
you keep your
watching this for
spirits up?
construction
I
and
still
writing
prayed to
and
God
shooting,
that somebody
editing, the whole
let
thing.
us stay in the hotel.
And how did you get out of the car?
Well, there's this nice lady named Beth, and then she gave us a lot of money so we could stay at the hotel, and now I'm staying at the hotel.
She said that a nice lady named Beth came and gave the family money.
Well, a nice community came. I just delivered it.
Beth Davalos runs programs for homeless kids in the Seminole County schools. This is the video that she shot when she found Jade's family.
Well, we deal with it. Every day we deal with it when we live in the car.
We're going to go get your hotel room now. How do you feel about that?
Happy.
When Davalos hears of a student on the street, she uses county money and donations to get temporary shelter in a motel.
Good job.
The money she had for Jade's family lasted only a month, so the Wileys and Jade are painting the rest of the motel in exchange for a room. But this is rare. Of all the homeless families in Florida, 2/3 are living on the street.
I hear about it every week, every couple of days. If they're not living in the car right now, they are avoiding it. Some of them don't even have cars to live in, or they recently got out of it.
Why is it happening right now?
The longevity of homelessness continues to rise. So people are running out of resources. The unemployment runs out. Their savings run out. The family that lent them money does not have it anymore because they're looking at economic hardship. And before you know it, they find themselves living in their car because they just ran out of all options.
Earlier this year, when folks heard about the homeless students in Central Florida, $4 million in donations poured in. Beth Davalos set up food banks in 41 Seminole County schools. They gathered up clothing for the kids and shelled out cash for motel rooms.
I really appreciate it.
$4 million is a lot of money, but think of this. Of all the families without shelter in America, 1/3 are in Florida. At Castleberry School, we sat down with the Coates family.
Instead of 3 meals a day, we ended up doing 2 meals a day. And then there was this one day where we didn't have any more money, and that's how we ended up in the car.
Last year, the Coates left Washington, D.C. for a new life in Florida, but the jobs dried up. When the savings went, Victoria and D'Angelo learned how to be homeless. They found out there's a checklist for living in a car. You want security, lighting, a place where you might be welcome, or at least a place busy enough to hide in. Walmart lots can be good, it depends on the manager. YMCAs mostly look the other way. D'Angelo settled outside a hospital emergency room.
And we knew that through being there, we could at least brush our teeth in the morning, go to the bathroom if we need to in the middle of the night. And I'm sitting on a cooler in between our vehicle and another vehicle, just to make sure they're okay.
Standing guard all night. Yep. D'Angelo, what does a man think about sitting on a cooler all night with his family in the car next to him?
That moment, I guess I feel less than a dad, I guess I can say, or as a husband, because I'm not able to provide for my family.
Going into that car really did something to me. I felt helpless. I felt like I couldn't help my children.
I am willing to bet that the whole time you were in the car, you didn't cry once, did you?
Mm.
Not in front of these guys. When it came time to put the girls in school, the school must have asked you for an address.
Said, okay, well, you have these boxes to choose, and you had one that said shelter.
You checked the shelter box?
Yeah.
There was no box for car.
No.
So you lied to them.
Basically.
You do what you have to do.
There is not an option to take my girls away.
I wonder if some of these families are hiding from the system, hiding from you.
Yeah.
Because as one woman put it to us today, she said, I was afraid that if they found out we were living in the car, the state would take my children away from me.
Yeah, they're scared. They're very scared. And the reality is, if the state found them in a car, their children could be taken away and put someplace safe for now. But when we find them, we can put them someplace safe.
The Coates tried to go someplace safe. They called every shelter in the area, but they were all full. After 10 days in the car, the only thing in the bottom of the cooler was an orange. So Victoria started calling again.
And we called each and every one of them. And then I got to the last one, which was Orlando Rescue Mission. And I called, and the lady said, we have programs for your entire family.
You must have thought you weren't hearing right.
Yeah.
How close did you come to running out of gas on the way to the rescue mission?
We had like maybe a quarter tank before the E.
So really all you had to your names at that point was a quarter of a tank and an orange.
That's right.
It wasn't long after the family made it into the shelter that D'Angelo found a job. He's manhandling garbage cans and proud to have the work.
Hard work. Hard work's good for you. I'm thankful to have a job.
With help from his employer, they hope to get Jamie, Jamia, and Jayla in a home of their own by Christmas. What do you know now that you didn't know before you lived in the car?
I know to be grateful that you have your family and that my mom is really, really, really protective.
Protective because there is a ferocity that comes with being a parent on the street. Hiding the kids from cops and criminals, watching options grow shorter, the days longer, and the nights are just stubborn, sitting on a cooler, waiting for the sun. One threat to a family out here is idleness. So the folks that we met fill the days with every free and normal thing. After school, the Metzgers drive their truck to the library.
Because I've got the computers that we can use and light and all that.
I wonder what education means to you two.
I mean, it's everything. It is everything to us. I plan to be a child defense lawyer. If I focus on my studies, I have that opportunity.
The American dream is durable, and there is something about growing up in a truck that makes you believe in it all the more. As we tagged along with the Metzgers, they told us they liked the truck better than a motel, and they wanted to show us something they've been doing in the evenings. They're acting in a community theater, a free and normal thing. On stage, they had a chance to be somebody else, but what struck us most was that they were just as happy in their roles as the Metzgers.
Before the truck, I always saw all these homeless people, and I would feel so bad for them. And then as soon as we started living in the truck ourselves, I've seen even more, and I just feel so bad. And even though I'm homeless myself, I want to do as much as I can to help them get back up on their feet.
You sound very adult to me.
She likes to take over.
And you too, a little bit, Austin. You had to grow up pretty fast.
Yeah. Every time I see like a teenager or any other kid fighting with their parents or arguing with them and like not doing what they're told, it really hurts me because they could be in my shoes, and of course I don't want them to be in my shoes, but they need to learn to appreciate what they have and who they have in their life, because it may be the last day they might have it.
At the end of this day, when the play was over and the kids were ready for bed, Tom Metzger judged the lighting behind the theater and decided this was as good a spot as any in Seminole County to make a home for the night. Go to 60minutesovertime.com to see how...
So, what'd you think?
I think that was really powerful. It was, I noticed that it started kind of like you're saying, like right before dawn, and it ended at night. It's kind of like, I know like this took more than one day to do, but it's kind of like he just took us through a day and completed it.
yeah, there's a symmetry. There was a visual symmetry and a message for sure. Yeah. So what happens with a story like this, the way this gets done, is a researcher begins. Like you might be an intern at 60 Minutes now, and that's a possibility. You could be an intern at 60 Minutes, and you would be assigned to research homeless families living in cars in Florida. And you would come up with an area where they had them. You would get guidance from a producer or an associate producer. An associate producer would take your research and kind of flesh it out, make calls, find out who was available. They would find that woman, Beth, who would give them access to the families. And then a producer would get involved and talk to that woman. The producer and an associate producer and maybe 2 camera crews in the past would go down there to Florida and do most of the shooting that didn't involve the reporter. And then the reporter is kind of helicoptered in for a couple of days, and he does the main interviews. But a lot of it is done, a lot of groundwork is done before he ever shows up. And then he gets to be with the people for a couple of days. But there have been producers who've been with them already and know that they're great. They found the characters, those 2 kids, were amazing, no? D'Angelo and Beverly and their family, they were amazing. And that little girl, Jade Wiley, she was great, yes? So that's what you need to tell a good story. You really need good people, good characters. But it's not a one-day shoot, for sure. But it also takes a producer and a photographer who are working side by side, who understand the story and how they're going to tell it. So they didn't have a script that had D'Angelo sitting on a milk carton outside the van, but they had the shot, and that helped them write to the video. And I'm going to tell you this over the course of the semester: write to your video. What I mean by that is write to your video, literally. If I see Amber in her room, I would say, Amber sat on the edge of the bed. An array of photos framed her in a collage behind her head. And then I would have that shot. That would be everything that would be in it. I would have you. If I did Fuad, I would say, Fuad sat in a featureless room, a fan whirring overhead. Yeah? So you really want to have the images. You have to have the images to write to, and then you have to have the capability of finding the words to write to the images. So even though it's moving video, you are writing to every image with very few words, because you see how few words are in those scripts. Okay, more. Tell me more. What else? What other observations, Fuad? What other observations did you have?
I guess I noticed that with a story like this, they had a lot of time to shoot and prepare it, because this story it didn't end, it's continuing. Mm-hmm. Like with other stories, like where people are on location and it's live, like the story already happened, so the reporters try to be fast to get the facts, but with this, I see that you have a lot of time to prepare, because like this issue is ongoing.
Yeah, I mean, it's because of the process that I just described. I mean, you do have a lot of time to prepare, but in terms of the construction, what did you see between sound bites and images and video and natural sound? What did all the things that I've talked about in the past hour and a half?
I mean, it was well constructed, and like the reporter asked a question and a cut straight to cut straight to, you wanted to hear more of the characters, you know. The reporter didn't, I don't know how to word it, but.
The reporter didn't step on them. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That you saw the characters, you saw what they were doing, that the narration led to the tracks, led one idea to the next. Is that correct? One idea to the
one
next.
idea to the next, yeah.
One idea to the next. And that's really critical here. We're talking about flow, but we're also talking about a certain story logic where one idea logically leads to the next so that you're telling a story with a beginning and a middle and an end. Amber, any thoughts? Any thoughts?
I enjoyed the way it was like, it didn't just focus on one family like at a time. Like it wasn't like, now this family, then this, then this. Like it kind of broke up their stories into pieces, so you were going back to them at different points in time, and like it kind of like they were like intertwining with each other. And I also like, I thought the timing was really good in certain points where like when they were having the interviews and I forget her name, but the mom was
Beverly.
She got very emotional and she was speaking, and there were pauses when she spoke, but I think those I like that they were left in because I think they were very necessary to adding to her emotion.
Yeah, that's a great observation. I think that one of the really important things is I'm sorry, I'm pulling up something for next. One of the important things is that we leave breathing room. We don't fill the silences. So, and that's tricky. This is a longer form story for the short form. You know, it's not a documentary, it's a 14-minute story. But in this form and in the shorter form, under 2 minutes or so, that's critical, is not to fill the silence when you're interviewing people, is to make sure that you let them have that moment. And that moment can be really powerful. You want to be really mindful of that. It doesn't always work, but when you're interviewing people, if you just let it go and see where they're going to go, you can always edit that later. You know, sometimes it just doesn't work all the time. It's not so powerful. But that's really important, not to step on anybody.
I don't know if you said it, but the close-ups help too with that, like the way it was constructed. Each time there was a pause or you see an emotion, it was always on a close-up.
Great photography. 60 Minutes has a particular shooting style. It's mostly straight on, a little bit off, a little bit rule of thirds off, but not weirdly like some of the videos that you see where it's like so strange. You see, do you know what I'm talking about? Where you like, Fuad, the way you're sitting is almost rule of thirds. So you have all this empty space and there's nothing over there, and you're wondering like, what the heck? What's going on over there? The 60 Minutes shots are more like that, like where I am. It's like more almost center, but just a little bit off. Yeah, but I'll show you the framing of that. I want to just go fast because I want you both for next week. I want you to script the story that you wrote. Okay, I want you to script it and track it. So the first thing that I want you to do is write what you shot, write a story based on what you shot. Send me the script and I'll approve it. Every script gets approved, not just here in this class, but in real life, in every newsroom, in every production company. Nobody works alone. Everybody's scripts are approved, and you'll have, and you'll see what the process is like. Okay? You good with that? So, but before you start to write, I just want to share something else with you. So I'm going to share my screen once again. And Fuad, we did this in the introduction to journalism class. Autumn, you're new to me, so you didn't do this. But It's really important to use the active voice. And if you have any questions about it, you can email me and I will work with you remotely if you wish. The active voice, the subject comes first in an active sentence. This will help you convey your ideas more clearly and quicker. So an example, police arrested a man recently freed on bail for allegedly beating and assaulting a woman in a Bay Ridge subway station. Police arrested. The subject does the action. Police arrested. Always look for an active verb to give your writing more energy. Avoid the passive to be verbs. Be, am, is, are, was, were, being, been. 142 tweets were sent by President Trump during the second day of his impeachment trial. It's from last year. It's hard to believe, isn't it? Last winter. But that's passive. So better would be President Trump sent 142 tweets during the second day of his impeachment trial. That's a record for him. So Autumn, do you see the difference? Oops. Autumn, yeah?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So you don't want to, this is a brain twist for both of you. It's hard. Excuse me. It's hard. I'm spitting. So excited. It's a brain twist for everybody. It's a brain twist for me. Sometimes I write a sentence and it's not like this. And I say, how can I make that better? I have passive words in there. How do I get rid of it? You just have to go back and do it. But writing the sentence is part of the craft. Writing the good, strong sentence. Every sentence matters, especially in TV video writing. It matters because you need few sentences. 8 lines is about 25 seconds. And your story is only a minute, say 30, or 2 minutes max. So 8 lines is a lot. 25 seconds is a lot, and it's a lot for somebody to listen to. Okay. You can use the passive verbs be, am, is, are, was, were, being, been when the subject of the action becomes the object. Many Washington Heights residents are forced to move to other neighborhoods because landlords found tenants willing to pay higher rents. Also, when we use the to be verb, when we're describing a state of being, Diane is a junior in college. We use variations on the word have when we use it like must, can, or have. Jorge has to reapply for DACA by October 5th. We might also use a passive verb when we talk about ongoing action. The student was reading a textbook when the alarm bell sounded and everyone had to leave the classroom. You with me on this? This is on the website, so you can check it out. Pretentious language. You want to both avoid that. All of your professors and your elementary school teachers told you that if you use bigger words, fussier words, you would sound smarter. You don't. It makes the reading harder and fusty. And you're young, you're modern. You want to go the modern way. You don't want to be, however, furthermore, currently, those are words that we don't want to use. Correct? Okay. Use language that actually says what you mean. Use language like you talk. Here's a sentence that's, when the scions of the elderly gentleman thought he had a family paramour, they pondered about their fortunes if he were to suddenly become deceased. The children of the older man, but this is the way to say it in English, the children of the older man thought he had a girlfriend and worried about their inheritance if he died suddenly. Which is better? Which is better, guys?
The second.
One has big words. Makes you sound smart, right? Makes people, it's hard to understand. Okay. You want to also take care to stay away from cliches. Economically deprived. What does it mean? Autumn, economically deprived.
It means poor.
Poor. Youths, young people. I hate that. What is that? Who are we talking about? Who are we talking about? Teenagers, young men, young women. Chemical dependency. Very nice way of saying what?
Drug addiction.
Drug addiction.
Right. Downsize. Nice way of saying what?
Lay off.
Right. Fired, laid off. Adult entertainment. What does that mean?
Pornography.
Right. Inner city.
Just name the name of the neighborhood.
Just give the name of the neighborhood. Just, tell us where it is. If it's Compton, it's Compton. If it's Bed-Stuy, it's Bed-Stuy. If it's South Williamsburg, it's South Williamsburg. If it's Riverdale, it's Riverdale. All right. You also want to avoid words like however, furthermore, nevermore, nevertheless. Don't use them. There's no need to. Avoid writing negative sentences. So, example, President Trump not only picked a fight with NFL players who chose to protest, he ignored the hurricane victims in Puerto Rico. President Trump picked a fight with NFL players who chose to protest and ignored Puerto Rico's hurricane victims. So once you say not in anything, it gets people thinking something else. So you always want to stay positive in broadcast language, in language where people are either listening or viewing and hearing. You want to stay with the positive. You can say the same negative thing in a positive way. Even though you're writing scripts just for yourself, remember to write out numbers 1 through 9. Numbers 10 and up, do it as you do in math. Get in the habit of doing this, because if you ever, fortunately, I hope you will, because you're both smart and talented, work with other people, you need to be able to do what the industry requires. And you want to write out percent rather than the percent symbol. Okay, that's it. That's what I have for you today. Any questions?
So you want us to send you the script before Monday, right?
I want you to, I want you to, okay, there we are. I want you to write the script and put the story together. You know how to edit. That's why I took you out of that class, out of that group. So you're ahead of everybody. So you're going to end up doing more work. How do you like it? You'll do more stories. I think that's great. Don't you?
I do, yeah. Something to do.
There's no point in you staying back. You just move. You're going to move forward. You're just going to go move. You get better and better and better and better. It's exciting. So I want you to send me a script. You don't send it to me at the last minute. I hate getting stuff on Sunday. I really have to be totally honest about that. I don't want to do anything on Sunday. I want to be like you. I want to do nothing. And all right, so send me a script by Friday. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, definitely.
And then you can edit. How long do you think it'll take to edit your 1-minute story, or 2, whatever it turns out to be?
It should be pretty quick. Right now, just my problem is my laptop is in a repair shop, and it's been there for 3 weeks, but the guy promised me 4 more days. If something's going on with USPS, there's I don't know if they're striking or something, but I should get it this week.
Yeah, something's going on. They're being defunded.
Yeah, defunded.
Yeah, we have a president of the United States who doesn't want people to vote by mail, doesn't like the Postal Service, he thinks they should charge more. We have a guy running it who doesn't know what he's doing and is doing whatever the president wants, and it's a disaster. So that's what's happening.
Now my laptop can't be fixed, but they promised me 3-4 more days. So the second I get that, I should be more.
Okay. And what about you, Autumn? Are you going to have a problem getting it? If you send a script by Friday and I correct it or not, will you be able to put the story together for Monday?
I think that should be definitely possible, yeah. It shouldn't take too long. I was in the script, should we include SOTs and stuff like that?
Yes. So you should do your script. I'm going to share one more and I'm going to do a whiteboard with you. Okay. So I'm going to share and okay. So your script, if you can, you want to divide the page like I showed you. You saw how I did that, right? And there are instructions for that on the website. So if you go to the class website, there are instructions for doing the columns, blah, blah, blah. So your script should have, you should start with, let's say, SOT. Remember the, and remember the story that Rossier did, Henry, for WPIX, started with a soundbite. And that's a good way to start. So you might choose to start with a soundbite. Then you do track 1. Then you do another soundbite. Oops. Then you do another soundbite. And you might put, his script had 2 soundbites back to back. Then you do another track, track 2, and then a soundbite. Track 2, can be kind of like an intro, something interesting. Something interesting. But by track 2, you should do the nut graph. Tell us what your story is about. Right? Fuad, do you remember that from the intro class? So
yeah.
Here's the point where you really want to tell us what the story is about. And then your track 3 can move the story on. And then your soundbite, and then maybe you have a stand-up or a close that's a track. Do not repeat. Move the story forward. I'm going to say it in a positive way. Move the story forward. Don't tell us what you've already told us, but move the story forward. So if you're writing about the laundry room, you could say the neighbors can't wait until the neighbors look forward to next Thursday when they do laundry together again. When they do laundry. So do you understand what I'm saying? Or if you are writing like a more newsy story, you might say, let's say we're talking about the 2,000 new teachers coming on board, veteran teachers, look forward to meeting their new colleagues, or and hope they'll be able to adjust easily, something like that. Does that make sense to you guys? Both of you? Fuad, you doing this? Okay. All right. So let me know if you have a problem. It's all under writing on the website, and we'll see what happens. Just stay in touch, and I'll help you. If you get the script to me sooner, I'll get it back to you soon. Okay?
Yeah, and my story is going to be about like the first day of reopening public schools. I already had some shots of like the private schools, but the public schools open next Monday. So the last shots I want to get is like the first day of school.
I think it's too hard because you can't get inside. So can you do something else?
I don't know, and I saw a lot of teachers today, and I spoke to some of my high school teachers, so I might get like one interview or something.
Okay.
I'm hoping for that. I won't be able to get out inside, but
all right.
I'll still think about it if I have a new idea.
The other thing you can do is just a pre-story. The teachers are back at your high school, and they're getting ready for the students. It doesn't have to actually match the news cycle. Do you know what I mean? It's teachers went back first to get ready, and what are the challenges? That would be a legitimate story, and then you have everything.
And how long, like, and the question in the end, I'm on, like, how long?
The story shouldn't be more than a minute 30 seconds, a soundbite of 10 seconds. All those sound bites are short, 10 seconds. There are videos on the website or links to videos that'll show you typical stories with sound bites. The sound bites are not long. If you do a 25-second sound bite, it is an eternity. You would turn it off if you were the viewer. You would not pay attention to it. Too long. 10, 15 seconds is more than adequate. So you're writing 4 lines, 10, 15-second tracks that go into 10, 15-second interviews. So you have to be really economical and clear about the points you want to make.
Yeah, I need to think about it.
Right. Autumn, are you following me? Yeah, okay. So ask if you, I mean, you're not familiar with me, Autumn. We're new to each other. So Fuad knows me a little bit. So if you have any questions, just really, please feel free. I'm happy to help you anyway. Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
But I need feedback. I need you to respond. I'm a people person. This is real hard for me. I need the interaction. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your patience. And I'll see you next week.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor. This was interesting.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Needed this page, so there's no gap now between one clip and the other. Did this answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. All right. So now it's about 6 p.m. So we're gonna do more of this later. But let me see if there's any concern, any questions right now, anything that you haven't understood that I can just quickly show you again. Was everybody able to do these operations of just placing 2 clips on the timeline?
Yeah. I have a quick question.
Yes.
So when I imported my video, so I took the video landscape like my phone, and it imported like that. So it's not right side up; it's like sideways. How do you change the
change the orientation?
Yeah.
You have to do it manually. So you see now my sequence, my project is horizontal, right? You see that?
Right.
So if I go onto sequence settings here, see on top, the fourth label is sequence settings, and you see it says video frame size 1920 by 1080. That's the the HD 16:9, the standard, what is now standard video frame. You can change that to some other number. Let's say you want to.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that because I'm gonna mess it up. I'm gonna completely.
But not only that, can I pop in here? Do you mind?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so go back to the settings. Go back to the settings. So this is really important, and Marco will show you this again and again when you want to make sure that your settings are at 1920 and 1080, because that means that it's the number of lines that appear on the screen. Did you tell them this already? Am I repeating? Anyway, that is the number of lines that are on the screen. It's the way that the image will appear on TV or on YouTube or on your computer screen. So it's really important. The other thing that's off here is that we want to, Marco, we want to do 29.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're doing 29 because you're shooting for You want to do 2997 frames per second. Yes.
Yeah. So that would be about 30. So those are the basics. Those are the basic settings. It's 30p is the standard for 1080. 30p is the standard for television and for video and for YouTube. So that's what we want to use that. When you see the 23, that's because Marco's an artist, often filmmakers use 24 or 23.9. Correct, Marco?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yes.
But we use the standard is always 30p, or in this format 29 point whatever it is, and 1080 times 1920.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
So
yeah, I was going to
Emma,
show that next time, but sure. Yes,
yeah.
you're right.
So Emma, you may want to reshoot your video so that it's in the right aspect. Or do you want to tell her how she can go back and fix it?
Well, Emma, you said you shot it
If you
horizontally.
shot it like this, there should be no problem. I'm sorry.
I shot it like this. So that's how it imported. Like it imported in Premiere like this way. Like showing, not like yours.
Not like mine. What do you mean? Because mine
like
is
orientation. It's not right side up, if that makes sense. It's sideways.
Oh, it's sideways. And you shot it with your phone, you said, right?
Yes.
What phone did you use?
iPhone.
The iPhone. You know, also when you shoot with your iPhone, what it sometimes does is because the iPhone tends to let me just exit here. The iPhone tends to adjust your orientation sometimes. I mean, it does. It does it on its own, right? But sometimes if you, let's say you just open your photo app and you start shooting a video and quickly, sometimes it records sideways. It doesn't, if you don't give it time to adjust, sometimes what happens, it has happened to me even with photos, sometimes you put it horizontally, but you didn't give it time to adjust, it shoots like sideways. So honestly, when that happens, you just have to reshoot your footage. So just make sure that, I don't know if that's what happened, but that could be a reason. Because if you just use your phone, your iPhone, and you just shot regularly horizontally, you should be able to get the same result when you, I mean, that's supposed to be your result. That's supposed to be the file that you end up with. So if it's sideways, I think it's a matter of the iPhone orientation. Just give it, when you open the photo app, just give it a few seconds, before you start shooting.
To add to that, that's great advice. And to add to that, we have a 10-second rule. So you want to let your camera run a little bit and then count to 10 or look at the meter, and you have 10 seconds. You want to make sure you have a shot that's at least 10 seconds long for just that reason, so that it can adjust and that you have a little extra to edit with. Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No problem. So, I mean, let's just do a little recap of what we've done today. We talked about how to organize your footage. We've opened up. We created a Premiere project. We went through the starting settings of the project. Then we imported the clips, and we just added some clips on a timeline. And that's what we were able to do today. Next week will be a little bit more in-depth in terms of creating sequences, meaning like really putting together clips in a way that tells a story, because that's really what your ultimate purpose is, to tell a story. And we'll take care of the audio and some of the color correction. And I guess that's a good spot where to end, unless there's any question.
One question.
Yes, Omar.
I always shoot at 24 frames per second. So can I just download it and then change it when I, once I get it in Premiere Pro, can I change the FPS?
Well, you heard Barbara. I mean, like for TV and for regular broadcasting and for like video, just in the industry, we use 30 frames per second. So
30 frames.
yeah,
That's 9.98.
not 20.
It's 29. It comes up in the system as 29 point something.
Yeah,
but it really,
29.87.
I mean, it's 30. The standard is 30p, but in this system, it comes up as 29.
Yes, yes. So
if
try
I
to
selected
shoot it
30,
that way.
that would be wrong. If I selected 30, that would be wrong.
No, 30 is basically it's an approximation. It usually is 29.97, but it's just an approximation. But we say 30 just to be just as a reference.
Yeah, Omar, I think you need to reshoot because you're going to have a problem. There's no reason on earth to create additional problems. This is complicated enough. Just keep it simple. Marco, the other thing before we let everybody go is when you are bringing in iPhone videos, can you explain, and I cannot explain it well because I can't do it well. The iPhone generates MPEGs. We want MOV files or MP4s in Premiere.
Yes.
How do we make the conversion?
Well, actually, when I shoot with iPhone, usually I get MOV
Okay.
files. Yeah, so I think it's a matter of actually going inside your iPhone settings, your camera settings in your iPhone, and make sure that the output format is MOV. But
okay.
Usually, let me see if I can find it real quick on my iPhone. But formats. Yeah, I mean, see, now it doesn't let me choose the format, but you can choose on your iPhone. You can choose your your frame per second, your rate. See here?
Right. I found that. Yeah.
Yeah, but not the file format. But as I said, usually I get the MOVs.
Right.
Have you been getting MPEGs?
I've got MPEGs. Yeah, it's very annoying. So so Marco's right. So if you go into your settings under camera, it's set up at 1080 at 30p. Yeah.
Okay, so
you're great.
One last thing I want to do is just to save the project. Remember, before we just move on with our lives. Every time we work on something, we just want to hit save, and then next time we'll delve into a little deeper into creating sequences, and I will also show you how to package your project, meaning to export your project as a video file that then you can upload on Vimeo or whatnot. So that's called the delivery of the file. Now we're just kind of playing with the interface. I recommend that you guys kind of play with it because it's very intuitive. Premiere is very intuitive, but it requires some time to get adjusted to it. At the beginning, I was a little bit intimidated because there's a lot of windows and there's a lot of buttons, but just try to repeat what I've shown you in this demo. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me in the meantime. And then I think we see all each other next week. Yeah.
Great. If you have any questions, ask me, ask Marco. This is great. Any questions about anything, you can get in touch with me. If I can't answer, Marco's the man.
Do we have Marco's contact information?
I'm gonna actually send you, I'm just gonna send you in the chat right now my email and my phone number. I also have Slack, but I guess let's keep it probably the cell phone. If you have any questions, we can just talk on the phone. And
I haven't created a Slack channel for this class. I keep thinking I should.
Yeah, maybe it's fast. It's kind of fast and fun. Yeah. Anyways, sorry for we had some glitches. It's the virtual the remote environment is is challenging. But normally this type of lessons would be like it would be a little easier to communicate. Just see feel the energy around the room, and this is a little bit more challenging.
This is very challenging. It's very hard
for everyone.
And the students are so great, aren't they? I mean, you're so great for being patient and paying attention and caring and trying to learn this. It's really hard. It's really hard for you. We understand. It's hard for us. This is tough. But for you especially, it's really, really, really hard.
And if any of you have any problem with the software, don't hesitate to reach out. Next time, ideally, we want to start everyone on the same page with, working Premiere, so we don't waste any time with that. And we can.
Mr. Poggio, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Will you be returning for any of other classes during the semester again, or?
I think next week, right, Barbara?
Same. Yeah, we're going to do this until you get it, because this is a very basic thing. We're going to do it until you get it, because you can't make a story if you can't edit. And this is, as Marco said, this is so challenging. It's really challenging to teach. If we were in a classroom, we could sit next to you and show you and stick our fingers on your screen and do all the stuff. We just can't do that. So and your patience is really wonderful. So stay with us. We'll get it. We'll get it. We'll get it. I showed you the work that the students last semester did. They were in the same boat you were. They had a couple of weeks ahead where they actually learned Premiere in the class, but still it was very challenging for a number of them. Sherry, you okay?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Okay, and people, I sent you hard drives. Those folks who did not send me addresses did not get hard drives, flash drives rather. It's not a hard drive. Did you get the flash drives?
Yeah,
I did. So store your material on the flash drive, right, Marco? You told him that, right?
I haven't. I was kind of gonna see where you want to go with this, because in other classes that I've taught, I've been told not to tell students to buy any extra stuff.
No, I gave it to them. I sent them.
Okay. Then yes,
gave them flash drives. So
the project folder that we created on the desktop, but since you have a hard drive, just move that folder onto your hard drive, because that's really where it's supposed to be. I just use a desktop as a default, not knowing that you had a hard drive. But
yeah, it's just a flash drive. It's not a hard drive, but it's a flash drive that will accommodate all that stuff. So yeah, get used to saving the material on your flash drives, because let's say you work in an office or you work in a newsroom or you're at the school. If you leave your stuff on the desktop, somebody else comes along, uses that computer, it's gone. You don't have it.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you have it. Okay. Thank you all. Marco, thank you so much.
Thank you. I see you next week.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, just.
For Marco, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Professor.
Yes, I'm here.
I forgot to send my address. Can I send it now?
Yes.
Thank you.
I will do the same.
Yes, please do.
Okay,
Please
see you
do.
next week.
Okay, see you.
I'm sorry, Nate?
I said I'll see you next week.
Okay, see you next week. That's great.
Have a good one.
I'm sorry? Have a good one. You too. You too. Viola, you okay? Okay, I'm alone.